Alright, so we're going into 1.3, which is about stock market data charts. One of the most confusing things I think in the stock market is trying to understand what's being represented. So we're going to go over just a couple of examples of how it's done. So I've got my screen here, and these are just some images pulled from the book. This is just an example of a particular stock, both the stocks open, close, high, low, as well as the number of shares traded that day. So if we look on this open value, let's make sure we've got something of use for us here. There we go. So we've got our open value, which is sitting right in this range here. Notice that's telling us that the open is higher than the close. That means our open value sat somewhere between 32.8 and 32.9, and we closed at a value of about 32.7, as we can see here. Total number of shares in millions, we're just above 30 million. I'm fine doing approximates. And that's okay, because that's really as accurate as we can really get. A stock bar chart is really just going to be an approximation to get an idea of where we're at. Clearly we can see we opened at a higher value and we've dropped to come down to this value here. And clearly we can see that we're above 30 million. We're in that ballpark of 30 million though, and that's a good representation for what we're going in. So let's go through an example of this. So here we have a Ford daily and Ford volume. So daily tradings from the 28th of April through the 2nd of May. The questions we're going to ask here, so which day had the highest price? Well, again, if we're looking at the other information in our previous chart here, the high value and the low value are also depicted as the top and the bottom of our chart. So our high value is in this range, roughly 33.3, and our low value is 32.6. This just means that some point in the day we traded around here, and some point in the day we traded around here. Ultimately, we traded higher than our low, but our high value was much, much higher than our close. And so our chart here in this example is looking at that same thing. Our high, for example, on the 28th of May is right here. One of these days I will remember to select the new layer. And that's sitting at above 840, so about 840, what, $8.42 was our high for that day. If we're asking ourselves which day had the greatest high price, well, that's the last day on the 2nd of May, and it looks like we are sitting at about $8.67-68, somewhere in that range. And which day had the lowest price? On May the 29th of May, we can see here we were sitting at about $8.07 roughly as our lowest price. If we're also going to go and look at this graph and ask ourselves volume, how much total volume did we sell, or shares did transactions, or I guess shares sold, we can see here we've got a value in millions of, I'd say probably about 180, 185. We've got here sitting at about 60. I'd say maybe 65 around here. 60 again here. It's pretty close to the 29th. And then our last day a little higher, 90. If we add those up, so we just add those total volumes for each day, I get about 460 if I'm using the numbers that I listed. So that would be our total in millions, so 460 million shares between the 28th of April and the 2nd of May. So we're going to go and build a chart. We're going to build one with some information that I've got here in my book that I have here. We're going to say our open value. So we're just looking at one day. our open value is $40.10. Our close was $39.79. Our high for that day was $40.65, which is, and then our low value is $39.39. Again, these are just pulled from the book. It's just an example. Okay, so if we're going to graph this, first of all, we're just going to go ahead and create, I want to say, the rectangle piece of our graph, if you want to call it the bar piece, this piece here, this piece here. So if you look at our high value was a high of 40.65. That's kind of, it's up here somewhere, roughly speaking. Let's make sure we're on. Yep. Okay. So we're sitting up in this range somewhere, maybe a little lower than that. This is all just an approximation anyways. And our low for the day was 39.39. So 39.39 sits roughly in this range here, somewhere in there. And we're just going to go ahead and connect those. And then we can, fill this in if we want to. And this would be our range. Now the next question is sketching here. We're going to say the next thing we want to look at is where was our open value. So our open value was sitting at $40.10. So $40.25 is here, and $40 even is here. So we're sitting kind of roughly, not quite in the middle, but just around there. So that would be our open. I create something a little more. And then our closed value was 39.39, which is pretty dang close to 39. Or sorry, it's 39.79 in the book. That makes a little more sense. Which is why I've got it sitting right on that line, pretty close to that. So now we have ourselves our graph. The next question we'll look at is volume. Our volume in the book says we are at 44.5 million, or 44,500,000. So when we look at our graph, we're sitting somewhere between 40 and 50. 44.5 is pretty much right in the middle. So we then draw a line about in the middle here. And this whole thing would be filled. And this would be our total volume for the day. At 44,000,005. Now I've got a much better representation of this here. Prettier than mine, but it works. That's the same image that we were looking for. So if you're trying to follow along, that's what I've got. Well, the candlestick chart. I don't see this as much, but regardless, this top piece here is still going to be that didn't give me the color I wanted. There we go. This top part is still going to be the highest price for the day and the lowest price for the day. But when I talk about the open and close, it's dependent on the color. So if this body is black or red in this particular example, and it could vary, it's going to be in the legend or the key of the graph you're looking at. But in this example, if the black or the color is black or red, then that means that we closed at a lower price than we opened. So if the shares of a stock were opening at a value of, say, 30 bucks, and they closed at $25 a share, it would be black or red. If we were to open at $30 and close at 35, then it might be green or white or whatever, again, the key says. We don't know. that just means that we went up in value. The closed value is higher than the open value. That's what we want. So we can do an example here. Looking at this one here, if we want to compare, let's say, the 8th of September and the 9th, we can look at this chart and say on the 8th we're sitting at a higher value than we opened because it's green on the 8th. So that's this right here. And on the 9th, it says that we were in the red. That means we opened at a higher value than we actually closed. That means our stock went down in value. We also have our indication of what our high was. Our highest traded stock was 39.5. Our lowest was just above 38.5, maybe 38.6. Oh no, it wouldn't be. So we can see now we've got our spread of high and low. We've got our open and close, and we can see we opened at this value here, which would be right between 39. So this is 39.5. It'd be 39.25. So this would be somewhere between that. And so we can then look at the numbers and see exactly where our spread is. If you look at the difference between the highest price and the lowest price for the whole chart, we can look at the highest price here as 39, close to 40, 39.9 maybe. And then our lowest, which is way down here at 37.75. And so we could find the spread between the highest and lowest for that week was $2.15. Just by looking at the values of, again, the lowest day traded, the lowest stock price that was traded happened on the 11th, and that was here, and the highest was the beginning. So we can see the trend line if we're looking at this from, the trend. I guess we should probably use the right appropriate color. We are going down in price. Our opening prices were positive. There was a one scenario here where it was positive, but in general, it's becoming very, very crazy. And the spread between the high and low is increasing, which is interesting. There's a lot of data you can pull out of this. What we're really referencing, though, for our setup is simply that we have a chart that represents some really basic information for us that we want to care about. That is, what is our high and our low on a day-to-day basis? Highest traded value, lowest traded. What's the spread between highest and low on any individual day or the whole week? And then on a day-to-day basis, did we open and improve when we closed by increasing in stock value like these? Or did we decrease in stock value where our open value was higher than our closed value? Open value is lower than our closed value, so this would be open. This would be our close because it's green, and this would be our open up here. This would be our close here because it's red. And that's really the bulk of this lesson, is just reading the data. Again, if anything, it's practice on how to reference when we are opening and closing on a stock and where we are in a week, where we are on a given day, how much volume we are moving, so how many shares are being sold, the price at the high point of a sale, so we can say what was the highest price in that day, what possible profit or loss could have been incurred on a given day or over the course of a week. So if we bought in on the high on the 7th in that chart and we sold at the low, we lost a lot of money. If we bought on one end and sold on the other and made a profit on a given day but didn't stick it throughout the whole week, right, we can start seeing what happened in the data. And that's really all this lesson is. The work is going to go through the same concept. It's in the worksheets of how to do that. There are numbers attached to them. We can see it either in a graph or we can see it in a chart with actual data of prices, but the concept is the same. If you have questions, please ask, but that's a general idea of how stock chart data works so that we can kind of gather the information on what we're seeing, so that way we can make those educated decisions when we want to make purchases or sales of stock or indexes or whatever we're selling in the markets. So I think we're good to go. We'll go ahead and wrap this up. If you have questions, please email me. Please please ask. That way I can know how to help you if you get lost. Hopefully it's fairly straightforward, but I'm here to help where I can.